And in the book, you also talk about voice first. What do you mean with that? And what is the history behind it?
Yeah, so voice first is an overall theme of the way that we're going to see, like I said, the interface with computers. The term voice first was coined by a guy by the name of Brian Romley, who I think is an absolutely brilliant guy. I consider him a friend. I've had the opportunity to interview him. He's often been referred to as the Oracle of Voice or a modern day Thomas Edison. He's absolutely brilliant, and he came up with this concept of voice first. And what that means is we are going to be interfacing with computers through our voices primarily. Our voices first, voice first. It doesn't mean voice only, because there are many circumstances when it makes sense to have a keyboard or a mouse and certainly have a screen to be able to interact with. But I believe, as does Brian, and it makes a lot of sense to me, that we will be primarily interfacing with computers through our voice because it is so natural, because it is so easy to do that, and for a number of reasons, which we'll get into later. But that's what the term voice first means. We're going to be interfacing primarily with our voice.
So it's going to go that far then. And how is going to be then in terms of everybody just gonna, well, we speak every day. I'm just thinking like, yeah, it's so strange. Like in a supermarket, everybody just gonna ask stuff around. I don't
Well,
know, right?
yeah, and in fact, we are already starting to see that. There are some use cases with voice technology where you walk into a store and it's like the concierge or the help desk or whatever you want to call it is a voice speaker. It's a smart speaker. So you go up to the speaker and you just say like, I'm looking for, I don't know, tell me where the aisle is to buy, I don't know, tomatoes, right? And then it'll tell you where to go. Or it can even give you recommendations. I know there was kind of a fun application that was developed where people would go into a liquor store and they're looking for recommendations on types of wine or types of drinks. And you would talk to the smart speaker and it would actually ask you, what are you eating? What's the occasion? And then it would give you a recommendation for a drink. So we're already starting to see that.
Well, it would be interesting to see if it's going to end up in libraries.
That would be interesting too. I think this is going to impact really all different niches, all different sectors, all different verticals eventually.
And people are going to be innovating anyway, trying to figure out ways. Like in a library, you should be quiet, but how can you do it and so on. But I still feel a little bit in terms of it can be, if everybody's going to speak, are we go away from that? We want a little bit privacy and silence.
Well, that's a good question. There are certain use cases where it's not great to be speaking in public. Anything that you want to keep private to yourself, then it doesn't make sense that you'd be speaking that out loud. So that's a good example of a time when it might not make sense to be voice first, right? Mm-hmm. So there are times when it might not make sense. But I think primarily because it's so natural, so instinctual, we're going to be seeing this more and more.